morning, Chapel family. Come on, let's stand to our feet. Let's put our hands together. We're going to lift our voices and sing it loud with everything we've got. Come on. Sing heaven thunder, and the world was born. Life begins and ends in the dust you form. Faith commanded, and the mountains move. Fear is losing ground to our hope in you. Come on, every voice lift it up. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Come on, put those hands together. We sing freedom conquered, all our chains undone. Sin defeated, Jesus is overcome. Mercy triumph when the third day dawned. Darkness was denied when the storm was gone. Come on, with a loud voice we sing it out. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Oh, we sing. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Come on, church. Today we're going to declare what's true in this place, that nothing shall be impossible for our God. We believe that with everything we are. Come on, let's sing it out together. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus our God. Oh, every voice lift it up. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus our God. Nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, oh, we shout it out again. 'Cause nothing shall be impossible. Your kingdom reigns unstoppable. We'll shout your praise forevermore. Jesus, our God, unstoppable. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on and on, Lord. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done, Lord. Unstoppable God, let your glory go on and on, Lord. Impossible things in your name, they shall be done. Come on, give him a shout of praise today. All right, church, keep those hands going. He's coming on the clouds. Kings and kingdoms will bow down. Every chain will break, his broken hearts declare his praise. For who can stop the Lord Almighty? Sing it out! Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting stop the Lord Almighty. Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battles. And every knee will bow before Him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sin of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. And every knee will bow before Him. Every voice, let's sing this out. Who can stop the Lord Almighty? 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 Who can stop the Lord? Sing it out, church. Our God is the Lion of Judah. He's roaring with power and fighting our battle. And every knee will bow before Him. Our God is the Lamb that was slain for the sin of the world. His blood breaks the chains, and every knee will bow before the Lion and the Lamb. Oh, every knee will bow before Him. Come on, church, lift up your praise this morning. As we continue in our worship this morning, I want to invite you to raise your hand, sing these songs out with us. God is here, and He's worthy to be praised this morning. So we're going to press into God's presence together this morning. Lean into what He wants to say and do in us this morning. Let's sing this out together. You give life, You are love, You bring light to the darkness. You give hope, You restore every heart that is broken. And great are You, Lord. Sing it out, church. It's your breath. This is your breath in our lungs. You give life. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the darkness. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are You. Oh, how great are You, Lord. Great are You, Lord. This is Your breath in our lungs, so we pour
exalt you, my God the King. I will praise your name forever and ever. Every day I will praise you and extol your name forever and ever. For great is the Lord and most worthy of praise. His greatness no one can fathom. One generation commends your works to another. They tell of your mighty acts. They speak of the glorious splendor of your majesty, and I will meditate on your wonderful works. They tell of the power of your awesome works, and I will proclaim your great deeds. They celebrate your abundant goodness and joyfully sing of your righteousness. For the Lord is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and rich in love. The Lord is good to all. He has compassion on all he has made. All your works praise you, Lord. Your faithful people extol you. They tell of the glory of your kingdom, and they speak of your might, so that all people may know of your mighty acts and the glorious splendor of your kingdom. For your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and your dominion endures through all generations. My mouth will speak in praise of the Lord. Let every creature praise his holy name forever and ever. Come on, let's shout it out.
All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. Come on, church, lift it up. All the earth. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. This is your name, our lungs. So we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath, our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you, Lord. It's your breath, our lungs. So we pour out our praise, pour out our praise. It's your breath, our lungs. So we pour out our praise to you only. Pour out our praise to you only. You sing, great are you, Lord.
Oh, come on, let's continue to worship him. Come on. Come on, let's sing it together. We sing thank you for the wilderness, where I learned to thirst for your presence. If I never known that place, how could I have known you up there? We sing thank you for the lonely time, when I learned to live in silence, as the other voices fade, I can hear you calling me Jesus, and it's worth it all, and it's worth it all, just to know you. Come on, let's shout it out together. You've done great things, Jesus, your love never fails me. My soul will sing, you have done great things. Come on, let's sing it out. Thank you for the scars I bear. Oh, they declare that you are here. How could I have seen your strength if you never showed me? And it's worth it all. And it's worth it all, just to know you more. this place, let's lift our hands and surrender to the one and only God. And let's sing this out with power today. Through the fire. It's through the fire and the flood. You have never let me go. And my soul will sing. You have done great things. I am weak, but you are strong. You will always be my hope. And my soul will sing. You have done, sing through the fire and the flood. You have never let me go. And my soul will sing. You have done, oh, I am weak, you are strong. You will always be my hope. And my soul will sing. You have done great things. Oh, you're faithful, God. Oh, come on, shout it out. You've done great things. Jesus, your love never fails me. My soul will sing. You have done great. Oh, yes, you have, oh God. Shout it out. That you've done great things. In weakness, you are my victory. My soul will sing. You have done great things. Oh, yes, you have, oh Jesus. There's no one like the Lord our God. Oh, yes, you have done great things. Come on, church, he's done great things. Oh, we celebrate you now. Man, you've got some amazing people standing right next to you. Would you turn and wish them a good morning?
Good morning, Chapel family. Woo, what a great weekend to be in church. My name is Callum. I serve in the student ministry here at the chapel. And in just a few minutes, we're going to continue in worship through our giving. For those of you guys who've already given online, we want to say thank you so much for doing that. There are giving envelopes in the backs of the seat in front of you. And as we're getting ready to give, I'm so excited to share with you about a church that we're going to be praying with this weekend as they're launching their very first service. We get to pray with them. We're praying for Hope Rising Church in Cypress, Texas. Pastor Welby and Kristen Pierce, they plant for the first time, guys. We're so excited about them, and we get to pray for them. One of my favorite things about the fact that we do this here at the chapel is that not only are we making a difference in this community, but we're also making a difference in communities all around the world, that people are experiencing the life-saving message of Jesus here and all around the world, and we get to be a part of that. And I want to thank you guys so much for your generosity. Let's pray together. God, we thank you so much that we get to give, that we get to be a part of what you are doing. Thank you for allowing us to be the hands and the feet of Jesus. Lord, I pray over Hope Rising Church this weekend, God. I pray that your presence would be so present, God, there, that they would experience you in a new way, that people would have a life-changing encounter with you, that families would be restored, that lives would be changed, and that the community would look different because there's a church there, and it's a life-giving church. It's in the name of Jesus that we pray. Amen, amen. Well, there are giving buckets at the ends of the rows. If you could pass them across, an usher will grab them on the other side. And once you're done with that, take a look at this video.
Welcome to the chapel. My name's Maddie, and if it's your first time, take a Connect card from the seat back in front of you, fill it out for us completely, and place it in a giving box in the back of the foyer or in the back of the worship center before you leave. Thanks. In session 1, Get In, we'll share with you the keys to begin and grow in a daily relationship with God that lasts through every season. You can always jump into growth track at any session you'd like. We'll provide childcare and light refreshments in Building B at 10:15 a.m. Man Code is simple. It's every second Saturday talking man stuff. Enjoy breakfast with the guys on Saturday, April 14th at 9 a.m. in Building B. Our Mother's Room has been crafted for moms to care for their infant at any time, along with a live broadcast of the service available. A red shirt team member in the foyer can help you find your way to this quiet, cozy space. Thanks for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your weekend.
Yeah, Sunday fun day, right? Yes, yes. The humidity is back. We love the humidity here in Florida. It's awesome. Listen, take out your worship guide. You know I get crazy excited when we start a brand new series, which we're going to start to do this weekend, called Glow Up. Now, simply put, listen, glow up is like when you've seen somebody at some point, but then some time has gone by and you haven't seen them in a while. And then you see them and you're like, man, what a glow up. They glow up. Wow. Like, let's just have some fun, because that's what it is, right? You see somebody at one point, it could be a year later, a month later, 2 weeks later, and then you see them and then you're like, man, glow up. Like, let's take this. Look at that, right? Right? Some of our staff, Christian, she works in the offices. Wow, what a glow up. If those eyes greeted me in the morning, oh my goodness, right? What a glow up. And then of course we have Victoria, everybody all together. Oh, it's a glow up. Wow. Wait, they were in one state, they were one way at some point, but then time has gone by and they've transformed. They've had a transformation. Their time and now, they're different than they were before. Glow up. It's just different. Or, wow, now that. Just let that settle in for a second. It's our Pastor Dave. Man, thank the Lord for glow up, right? Woo. Or puberty, either way you could say it. But just go with me. At one point, right, you were a certain way. At one point, you were, lean in, is what we say at the chapel. Lean in, here we go. At one point, you were a certain way. But then time passed, and now you're different. It's a glow up. It's a glow up. Or I like to say this is Pastor Matt, right? Our student pastor. Look at him when he was younger. He was like, yeah, brah. Like Southern California, surfer dude, kind of Brady Bunch-ish, you know what I mean? And now, of course, the spiritual pillar of the community that he is, right? Unbelievable. And then, of course, Pastor Kyle. I don't need to say a whole lot about this, do I? Right? Hashtag thug life, right? Right? And then it's just, I will knock you out. And then he had a glow up. He had a glow up. We all need to experience, and we all do in one way, shape, or another, of a glow up. We were one way at some point in time, and then time passed, a week, a month, a year, several years, and we had a transformation. We had a transformation. What I want to do today is just set the stage for where we're going. It's going to feel a little different. I just want to set the stage for where we're going for the next couple of weeks. When we talk about having a glow up, we were a certain way at some point, but then we had a transformation. Time went by, and we were transformed into something, someone else, something. We had a glow up. As it pertains to our relationships, and anytime you talk about relationships, most women, let me be stereotypical for a minute, most women are like, oh yeah, we're going to have a relationship, we're going to talk about marriages. Oh, they're like, yes, finally, this is awesome, this is great, so glad we came. To which most guys turn around and go, oh, are you kidding me? I was just starting to like this guy. You know what I mean? Listen, we're just going to lay the groundwork for a little bit today about what it means to have a family that's transformed. Doesn't matter what season of life you're in. Doesn't matter what your family, what season of your family is in. Whether you're a single parent, you're getting married, you're married 1 year, 5 years. Doesn't matter. The reality is, at one point, you're this way, and then time passes, and then it's glow up. Our key scripture for the next couple of weeks is this. Paul talking to the church at Ephesus. He says, you were taught with regard to your former life. Like, hey, church. He's talking to believers and followers, not just people who believe. These are people who are in. Not perfect. These are just people who really believe and do their best to follow. He says, look, you were taught something about your former life. He immediately interjects the idea that there are two lives. You were taught something about your former life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by deceitful desires. You have these desires of your old life. There's these desires that really are kind of preventing you from God doing something new, from this new thing. There's this idea for the early Christians that God was doing something new in your life. In order for that to happen, you had to put away, you had to be deliberate, you had to put away some of these, because these desires, some of them are destructive. Some of them aren't really good for you. There's some great desires. Desires can be great, but there are some that's not good. So you were taught some things about your former life, to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self. So I got to put something away, and I got to put on something else. I was one way at one time, but then as time goes on, I'm putting on something else. He's glow up. He's saying, put on the new self created, because your new self is like this. It's being created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. To be like God, righteousness, right kind of living. To be like God in the right way to live. There's a right way and a wrong way. To be like God in the right way to live in holiness. Now, sometimes when we see that word holiness, we think perfect. It's not what he's saying. Holiness is to be separate. It's to be put aside. Not what culture and society say, but you're different. But in essence, what Paul is saying here is you have these desires that are preventing you from being new. You have these desires. Desires can be good too, though. I think we all have desires. But Paul is saying, to have a glow up, you were a certain way at one point, time goes by, and then you're a new way. Paul says, but there are these desires that if you're not deliberate, you have to put them aside and you have to put on the new self. If you don't, you will miss something new that God is trying to do. You catch me? You catch what the word's doing here? You glow up because you have transformation. It's old, these desires. What Paul essentially says is just say, you got to put on something new. Now, I think if we're honest, we all have hopes, I could argue, hopes, dreams, and desires. We all have them about everything in our life. And what I want to do is lay just a simple groundwork for the next couple of weeks. And just talk about things that we all know to be true. We just don't tend to think, we just don't tend to talk about them. We just know them to be true, but nobody ever talks about them because I think we all assume we know it, so why talk about it? I think we all have hopes, dreams, and desires. We all have them. We all have this picture, if you will. And some of you, when you came in today, our Polaroid team outside is taking pictures of families. And I hope you get one. If you didn't get one on the way out, make sure they snap a shot of you and your family or someone you love. Put it on your refrigerator. Put it on your dashboard. This will come in handy later. I think we all have a picture of how, because we all have hopes, dreams, and desires, we all have a picture of how we want our life to be. We all have a picture of how we want to be in life. How we had fun and we just put it like this. I never want to fight with my husband or my wife. I don't ever want to argue. I don't want to ever yell at each other. I don't necessarily want to totally disagree to where he slams the door and he goes in the room, where she gets in the car and leaves for a few minutes. I don't ever want to do that. I want this marriage to be. That's why we put a little rainbow in the corner up there. I don't know if you can see it. All right. I think we have this picture of our lives This picture of our lives in every category you can think about. I have a picture of the way I want my husband. We have a picture of the way we want our husbands or wives, or in our relationships with our friends. Listen, our fiance, to where how we fight. I don't ever want to call each other names. I don't ever want to raise our voice. I have this picture, this wonderful thing. I don't ever want a cat. I only want a dog. That's just, right? I mean, we just forget about right or wrong. But we all grow up, and we continually have a picture of how we want our life to be, no matter what season of life. How I want my grandkids to be, how I want my relationships to be as we get older together, or how with our grandkids, or as our kids get older. We just all have this picture in every category. We have this picture about schedules. About like when you're married, how my wife was great, because you have this picture of how you're going to spend holidays. My wife used to say, listen, because I love you so much, here's the deal. I only want to spend 3 holidays, 3 with my family. Easter, Christmas, and Thanksgiving. That's it. You get all the rest of the holidays. You get Halloween. You get Groundhog Day. You know, you get San Gennaro, because I'm Italian. You got to have the San Gennaro Festival weekend. Right, she's such a giver. But we have in our minds a picture of how we're going to be, our picture and what it looks like. We're not really living. We're not really, I got this picture that one day my wife and I will be sitting in a jacuzzi, drinking Chardonnay, sitting in Florida in a jacuzzi. It's 110 degrees with 130% humidity, and you're sitting in a hot tub. Yeah, but we just, not right or wrong, I'm just laying the groundwork for how things are. We have a picture. We have a picture of how we want our lives to be. That I do want a boat one day, because I want to be out on the water. I want to teach my kids to ski. I want to be able to dive. I want to be able to, I just have a picture of how, I have a picture of where we're going to live, what our house is going to look like. I don't want to rent my whole life. I want a house. I want a big house. I want a big house with lots of kids. Some of us we have a picture. We have a picture of our lives. I only want 2 kids, a boy and a girl. As soon as we get a boy and a girl, we're done. If I don't have a boy, I don't care. We'll have 17 girls until I have a boy. We just have a picture, not right or wrong. It's just the way things are. It's just, we have a picture of the way we want our wives to look. We have a picture about how we want our men to be 6'2", blue eyes, dark hair, olive skin, washed. I don't want to drive an 82 Pinto. I want to drive a nice car. I want the new van. I want the van, when you walk up to it, it welcomes you. Hello, Mrs. Johnson. The door's open. Right? I just want nothing, not right or wrong. It's just the way things are. We have a picture of how we want our families and our relationships to be. Paul tells the church, you're going to have to put away certain desires to have something new. However, what's interesting is we all have hopes, dreams, and desires. We definitely have all desires. We have these hopes about how we have these hopes about friendships. I want to be able to be married, but I want to be able to go out with the boys. I want to be able to go with the guys. I want to be able to have a girls' weekend, and my husband go, yeah, honey, don't worry about it. Leave me with those 17 girls. I'll change every diaper. Be awesome. That's the kind of husband I want. I want a woman that she understands. I want her to stay home and raise our kids, and I'll work 50 hours a week. And when I come home on a Saturday, I want my tea time on golf to be at 7:05 a.m. I don't return to the house till 3:30 when I walk in the door, because she's had no adult interaction for 7.5 months. When I walk in the door, she goes, welcome home, King. It's the kind of woman I want to be married to. Not right or wrong. It's just the way we are. We all have a picture. We all have a picture of how we want Just want a white picket fence. I want a real dog. I want a lab. I want a black lab. Nobody wants a chihuahua. Nobody wants a chihuahua. Nobody. These little rat demon things. Nobody. So we're clear. My chihuahua is 11 weeks old. I know, it's stupid. Listen, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy who walks into the mall with holding their dog like this and just, I want to be that guy just for one weekend. Anyway, that has nothing to do with the message. But we just all do have a picture. Now, what I know to be true about you and me is this. We develop our picture based on our experiences. We develop our picture based on our experiences. What goes in our picture, for the most part, what goes in our picture is from what we experience. What's been modeled for us. How a woman is supposed to be, how a man's supposed to be, how kids are supposed to act, what holidays we spend where, how we spend our money, how we vacation, how we talk to one another, how we handle conflict resolution. What goes in our pictures largely is a result of what we've experienced. I don't know, in my home, I don't know that my dad, who is in his mid-70s now, I don't know that my dad has ever spent more than 2 hours in the kitchen. I don't even, like if I saw my dad in the kitchen, I would go, who are you? It was just the way things were. Forget about male chauvinist or whatever. No, it was just, so when I'm developing my picture, I may think that the woman's role in a relationship is to always cook and to have my dinner ready. Because what I know to be true is how we develop our picture, what we place in our picture, is largely a result from what we experience, about what's been modeled for us and what we see. I grew up very close to my grandparents. And a lot of how I formulate or put together or some of the desires and hopes and dreams that I have are based on how I saw grandma and grandpa act with the family, act with one another, act with their children, my aunts and uncles. It's because we just know it to be true that how we develop our picture is through our experiences, a lot of times with family, but sometimes friends that really shape us or mold us that we're close to, or sometimes by what we read or what we see. We develop our picture by a lot of our experiences, by a lot of things. I remember growing up on Sundays. Sundays were when the whole family came together. It was just an incredible moment. It was just a great moment. There was a lot of arguing. There was always just like always arguing. There's always that elephant in the room. Everybody know what I'm saying? Like, don't talk about Aunt Betty. Oh, God. You know what I mean? Like, there's always that. But, it's family. What are you going to do? Yeah, it's because that's how we formulate our picture. And it's in every category. Finances, relationships, extended family, calendaring, vacations, what kind of house, where we're going to live, what neighborhood, how much money we want to make, what we want to buy, what stuff we want to buy. It does not right or wrong. It's just the way things are. What I have grown to realize is that with our pictures, with the pictures that we have in our mind about our marriages and our relationships, the people who are going to spend time with. We have this friendships. They're formulated by our experiences. This is what I know. We are either trying to recreate something or avoid something with our picture, which we all have them. We're either trying to recreate something or we're trying to avoid something. My parents yelled so much all the time. They were so negative. They were so critical. They were so consequently, when often we build a picture, what it is I'm never going to speak an ill word. I'm never going to be critical, and I'm always going to be uplifting, and because I'm trying to avoid that negativity or that criticism that I was always around when I grew up. It's just what we do. It's just the way things are. We're either recreating something. Sunday in my house, and I'm very blessed. My son's married now. My daughter's getting married in 20-something days. Yeah, Sunday afternoons, I go home and I eat a Cuban sandwich, salt and vinegar chips, and a Diet Coke. That's what I do. All right? And I fall asleep, so this happens every Sunday, until about 5:15. And when I wake up, I make an unbelievable pot of coffee. And when I wake up, all of my kids are there with their wife, my daughter-in-law, with my future son-in-law. And Sundays are at my house because I'm trying to recreate what I had. And we sit around the table and we talk and we laugh. We shut things down. We just talk about stuff. We make fun of each other. Laughter is of high value in my home. We laugh at each other. It's because I'm recreating something. I'm recreating this memory of connection. And then we just kind of actually spread it. I have a small house, but we spread around the house and we actually fall asleep. We kind of do a little food coma thing. And then we wake up and then we have dessert. Yes. I mean, it's just what we do. I'm trying to recreate something in my picture, or I'm trying to avoid something in the picture. And we all have them. And our pictures are full of our hopes and our dreams and our desires. I'm never going to let a man talk to me like that because I watched my dad put down my mom. I'm never going to let her do those things because my mom never. Forget about right or wrong. It's just the way things are. It's just what we do with our pictures is we tend to either recreate something or avoid something. Sometimes what you'll find is we grow up in such strict homes that never let you do anything or say anything, and we're so dogmatic and so strict that what we do to avoid that in our homes, we become more best friends with our kids than we do parents. Not right or wrong, it's just the way things are. It's just, forget about right or wrong. But we do know that Paul told the church, you're going to have to put away some old stuff. You're going to have to put away some old stuff to put on something new. To have a glow up, a transformation over time, a glow up, you're going to have to put away some old stuff and pick up something new. You're just going to have to. And so what we know to be true is that we get our pictures from our experiences, what we see, what's been modeled for us. And we put things in our picture that we're trying to recreate in our families, good, yeah, and we're trying to avoid some things that we hated. Here's the issue. I'm just laying the groundwork, here we go, for where we're going the next couple of weeks. Here's the issue with that. The tension becomes, what's so crazy is the tension. It's tension. Why? Because at some point in the relationship, it happens, but the problem is we don't know when it happens. It happens. At some point in the relationship, I hand someone else my picture. Especially in our marriages. At some point, we don't know when it happens. That's what's crazy, but we know it happens. We hand someone else our picture, and we go, hey, develop this for me. Hey, help make this happen. I need you to come through for me. See that kind of house I want to live in? No, we don't do Chihuahuas here. We do Black Labs. You see that? I didn't expect to live in this thing. What? We've been married 5 years. We're still in the apartment? I didn't expect us to be in this relationship. I didn't expect us to be in this spot. I didn't expect us to be. See, what happens is we take our picture of our hopes, dreams, and desires. Nothing wrong with that. Our picture of our hopes, dreams, and desires, and we hand it to our husbands or our wives. And we go, hey, let's go. Let's get to work. I would argue that we even do that with church. That we come into church, we watch online, and we go, hey, I need to be lifted up. Hey, he better be funny this morning. He better be good. He better read that word of God and tell me something I don't know. Otherwise, I'm just going to. Man, worship better be strong. We have a picture. Worship better be strong. They better not sing that song that I hate, especially her with that voice. It grades on my nerves. We just have a picture. And we hand it to other people, but especially in our marriages, and we hand it and we say, hey, come through for me. Help develop this. And there becomes this tension because we hand them our hopes and dreams. We hand them our hopes and dreams, but it doesn't feel like hopes, dreams, and desires. What it does is it creates an expectation. It's our hopes and dreams and desires. Forget about whether they're right or wrong. Just forget. But we wind up handing it to someone and going, hey, make me happy. We hand them, and when we do, it's our hopes, dreams, and desires. It doesn't feel like hopes, dreams, and desires to the other person. It feels like an expectation. It feels like a heavy weight. What's crazy is we don't even know that this happens, but it winds up happening. And it feels like a weight. It feels like pressure. It feels like the bar has been raised. That's why you hear statements like, I can never do enough. That's why we hear statements like, well, I can make you happy. That's why we hear statements, I didn't know look at us. Look at where we are. I would have never thought that we would. It's because when I take my hopes, dreams, and desires, not right or wrong, just the way it is, and I hand them to someone else and hit my hopes, dreams, desires, develop this. It's kind of like the bar. It's like a homework assignment. Spend all stinking day at work, at school. And then I come home and I still got 3 hours of homework. Oh, it feels like pressure and disappointment sets in. See, the issue is we know we have a picture of how we want life to be. Paul says you got to put off some old way of thinking, old desires. You got to put those over here because God wants to do something new. He wants you to have a glow up, but you got to put something away to pick something up. Got to put something away to pick something up. Got to have a glow up. We know we get pictures. Not right or wrong. Forget about right or wrong. It's just the way we are. It's just what we do. We create a picture. It just happens. I don't know when it happens. I can't say 12:01 on Thursday. Well, we hand it to someone else in our marriages, and we go, hey. The problem with the tension is it creates this expectation. And now all of a sudden, I become responsible to meet all your dreams, hopes, and desires when I was never made to be. It's just the way things are. Forget about what they are, right or wrong, but it is what happens to us, especially in marriages. The crazy thing, here's the definition of expectation. This is Webster's dictionary, just so we're clear. A strong belief that something will happen or will be the case in the future. That's why sometimes you'll hear, no, he's not really changed, but he's getting better. He's better. He's like that way. He's that. Nah, she still does the da-da-da, but no, but she's not. Because one day she will be. One day he will be. Hey, I know that we live in an apartment now, but we're going to own a nice house one day, right? An expectation. I have a strong belief that this will happen. Yeah, he yells all the time and he punches walls and he slams doors, and every time we argue, he gets in the car and leaves for 4 hours. I know, but one day. Forget about right or wrong. It's just the way things are. So we have these expectations. We don't have two sticks we can rub together. We can barely pay Duke Energy, but we're going to have that jacuzzi one day, right, honey? It's just how it is. It's just how we are with our pictures. And it becomes weird when I hand someone, it becomes unhealthy when I hand someone my hopes, dreams, and desires, because to them it feels like this weight. It feels like this bar has been raised. It feels like now it's my job. Here's what's crazy about expectations. When I expect something of you, I expect you to make my lunch. I expect laundry done. I expect you would clean my socks. I expect, after a hard day of working, I expect you to take care of the kids while I go out. I expect. Here's the problem with expectations. Expectations are a love killer. Listen, the next couple of weeks, you will have a glow up because it's God's word. It ain't me speaking. It is God's word that we'll talk to it because it's his voice. Expectations can be a love killer. Why? Because expectations, what winds up happening with expectations is it creates a debtor relationship. Oh, you could say it like this: you owe me. When I expect you to make dinner and have it ready for when I get home, or within 15 minutes of when I get home, I expect you to do it. You owe me. You owe me dinner. You know how hard I worked? You owe me to act a certain way in the bedroom. You owe me. See, expectations, you know what? I go to this church. I've been going to this church. I expect the messages to be. I expect worship to be. The issue becomes for the believer and follower. You got to put certain desires away. You got to put certain things away. You got to know that that's old, because to pick up something new and put something new on, you got to put something old away. What happens is we put our expectations on one another in relationships, in whatever the case may be, when our expectations should be put on our Creator. It is Jesus Christ who says, I shall meet all of your needs according to my riches and my glory. But instead, we don't look horizontally, we don't look vertically, we look horizontally. And we hand somebody our picture and we go, what's the deal? Now, don't get roles and responsibilities confused. In every relationship, everybody has a role. Everybody has a responsibility. Every relationship. That's human, it's human nature, and it is healthy. Not responsibilities because you're a woman and you belong in the kitchen and you should cook. We're not cave people. You're the man. You should work more. You should work harder. No. Roles and responsibilities that make a household work. Based on giftings, based on passions, based on seasons of life. Not those roles and responsibilities. With those, there are expectations. But it's expectations to make my picture come true of all of my hopes, dreams, and desires. And I hand it to you, and I begin to look at you as my source for happiness. And instead of just being my husband or my wife, you inadvertently become my God. And there's a reason why the first commandment was, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Because if you can't get that one right, the other 9 are for sure to be jacked up. And what happens is we're constantly handing the wrong people our picture. I'm just laying the groundwork for where we're going. It's what things are. It's how we are. It's how we live. It's how we interact with each other, especially in marriage. And the problem is it creates a debtor relationship. And listen, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to try not to go for 3 hours. Just sit back, relax. Listen, when you have a debt, you owe me clean clothes. You owe me to take me on vacation. You owe me to buy me a nice house. You owe me kids. You owe me. I was expecting. My hopes and dreams and desires become expectations. Here's the problem with debt and debtor relationship. We can only ever make it to zero. What? Let it sink in. Listen. When I expect you to clean all my clothes and my dirty drawers and my socks, when I expect that, when you do it, you only get to zero. When you do it, you only get to zero. That's why there's no wow factor a lot in marriages. Because the expectations are put in the wrong place. And so when someone does something, it only gets them to zero. I expect you to do that. I expect you to act like that. I expect you to make me lunch. I expect you to love me this way. I expect you to have sex with me. Yeah, it's about as quiet in this service as it was the rest of the day before. Right? Yeah, let me tell you why. Why is this so insidious? Why is this so dangerous? Why is this so crazy? Answer this question. How much gratitude do you express to people who pay you what they owe you? How much gratitude do you express to people who pay you what they owe you? To this day, I have never walked into my boss's office and went, hey, you're not going to believe this, but on the 15th and the 1st of every month, I get money put in my account. Thank you so much for my paycheck clearing. I've never done that with any boss I've ever had. Thank you so much for the paycheck. You're awesome. This place is awesome. I've never done that. Why? Because I expect it. I worked my tail off for you. There better be a check there. Because I expect it. But Paul tells the church, because you're going to have to glow up. You got to put away something. You got to put away something to put on something new. See, how often do we expect, how much gratitude? I expect you. I expect to go home after preaching 3 services, 6 hours I've been here. My lunch better be on a TV tray. I've never said that. That's why I've been married 27 years. But when I come to expect it, because you owe me. You know how hard I work today? Most people are off on Sundays. It's insidious. It's not the way. This is why it's so crazy. Because it is not what God had in mind when he put Adam and Eve together. See, or you could say it like this. We rarely express gratitude for what we've come to expect. We rarely express gratitude for what we've come to expect. Of course you do. Of course you do, my laundry. Of course. Of course you're going to let me go out with the girls. Of course you're going to let me do. Of course you're going to let me. What? It's because we rarely express gratitude for what we've come to expect. We just expect it. That's why it's so dangerous in a marriage. It's why it's so difficult. See, this is what we know. Glow up couples that have a transformation, couples that are being transformed and have a transformation, putting old psyche away, putting old things away so that they can put on something new. Glow up couples know gratitude says, I didn't expect it, but I'm grateful for it. Yeah, thank you for making my lunch this morning. What do you mean? I've been making your lunch every morning at 6:05, kissing you goodbye with that bad breath for the last 4 years. No, I know you have. I'm thankful for it. Yeah, but I've been doing it every single day for 4 years. No, I know you have. I don't expect it. So when you do it, I'm thankful for it. Because I don't expect it from you. It is one of the top 3 things that kill marriages is a heart and an attitude of ungratefulness. See, what glow-up couples know is, I didn't expect it. But I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. I'm grateful for it. I'm just laying the groundwork for where we're going. Next week, I'm going to talk about the most controversial relationship writing that maybe the world has ever wrestled with. The most controversial relationship writing that the world has ever wrestled with. It just happens to be in the Bible. But I'm telling you, what glow-up couples know is that I wrote it down because I wanted to get it right. Gratitude is an indicator that I'm not responsible to develop your picture. Because we've handed it off. I expect you to do this because that's what my dad did. I expect you to act like this because that's what my mom said. I expect you to do this because mom treated me this way. I expected you to do this because my dad said. I expect you to do this because this is the way we live. I expect it because I grew up with a boat. I expected it. No. Gratefulness, gratitude is an indicator I am not responsible for your picture. You're not responsible for my picture. That's why I'm thankful. I'm gratuitous for when you do something. Even though it's that same thing you've been doing at 6:05 in the morning for the last 4 years. Man, I'm thankful for you. See, let me tell you what glow-up couples know. Glow-up couples know that gratitude says, I don't expect it, and I'm grateful for it. What glow-up couples, because they have a transformation, what glow-up couples transform and they know is that it's an indicator that I'm not responsible for your picture. God is. I'm not responsible to make Trish, my wife, Trish, happy. I'm responsible to love the Lord God Almighty with all my heart and all my mind and all my soul. And an overflow and a consequence of that is my wife is a queen. See, it's so counterintuitive. It's so counterintuitive to the way culture is and society seems to be. But again, Paul was telling a church back then, not today, back then, put away some old stuff so you can have the margin in the room to put on something new. Because I want to do something new. To have a glow up. See, my responsibility isn't to make my wife's picture come true, or hers to make my picture come true. So we'll end it there. We're going to cover some great ground. And I believe God's going to do something new in the marriages of this church and teach us how to have healthier relationships in whatever season we're in, whether we're single, whether we're engaged, whether we're dating, whatever it is. Because you got to get this. So here's the idea. Ladies, and let me be stereotypical again, okay? Ladies, do not leave here today and talk about this message. That's right, we're going to get in the car, and you've already been elbowing that person next to you. We're going to get in the car, and we are going to talk about this. Take the long way home. No, don't do it. Don't do it, okay? But here's just a little, just for fun, just for kicks and giggles, okay? Here's a little something. Here's a little something for you to think about this week. Ask yourself, what's in your picture? What's in your picture? Forget about right or wrong. Forget about, I don't want to drive that kind of car. I want to drive a nice car. One day I want to drive it. I want to have these kinds of things. I want to live in this kind of neighborhood. I want to be in that kind of house. I want to have 4 bedrooms because I want to have a lot of kids. I want 1 kid. I want 3 kids. I want 13 girls and 1 lonely boy. I want whatever that is. I don't want a black lab. I don't want a shepherd. I want a chihuahua. Whatever it is, just what's in your picture. And here's something else that'll curl your toes. Ready? Are you expecting someone else to develop your picture? Here's the question. I should have wrote this. Here's the question. Is someone walking around with your picture in their back pocket and they feel responsible for making it happen? Is there someone walking around right now with your picture in their pocket, and they feel, you think it's hopes, dreams, and desires, but they're feeling expectations? Is there someone walking around with your picture in their back pocket and they're feeling like, I got to make this happen? Yeah. I love that we were together this weekend. What God is going to do in the next couple of weeks is going to be transformational. I love you guys. Bow your heads. Let me pray for you. Thank you, Lord, so much for who you are. Lord, thank you for the privilege it is, Lord, to come and hear your voice through your word. And Lord, teach us this week as we put aside some old ways of thinking and living so that we can have margin and space for you to do something new. Lord, teach us to have a thankful spirit, a thankful mind. Teach us how to have gratitude in every parts of our life, but especially in our families. Lord, teach us how to expect nothing, but give everything. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I love you guys. Let's stand together. The prayer team is on the sides if you need prayer for anything at all in your life.